We, the jury, in the above entitled matter as to count 1, unintentional second-degree murder while committing a felony, find the defendant guilty.
Former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin has been convicted of murder and manslaughter in the death of George Floyd. Floyd died last May after Chauvin, a white officer, pinned his knee on his neck. Reporter Camila Bernal joins us live from Minneapolis. Camila.
Look, just an incredible reaction when that verdict was read. It was played over loudspeakers here outside of the Hennepin County Courthouse, and just people who were praying, who were in tears, who were hugging, and just thankful for that guilty verdict. Those celebrations will likely continue, but what's most important is what happened inside of that courtroom.
We, the jury, in the above entitled matter as to count 1, unintentional second-degree murder while committing a felony, find the defendant guilty.
After close to 10 hours of deliberations over just 2 days,
We, the jury, in the above entitled matter as to count 2, third-degree murder, perpetrating an eminently dangerous act, find the defendant guilty.
the verdict is in.
We, the jury, in the above entitled matter as to count 3, second-degree manslaughter, culpable negligence, creating an unreasonable risk, find the defendant guilty.
The jury finding former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin guilty on all 3 counts.
I would not call today's verdict justice, however, because justice implies true restoration. But it is accountability.
George Floyd's brother stood inside the courtroom as the jury's verdict was read, while outside, protesters celebrating the victory. His girlfriend sharing her grief and her sense of relief.
It'll mean change. It's a first step in a long road to recovery.
Chauvin's bail was revoked, and he was led out of the courthouse in handcuffs.
Now, the state's attorney general, the prosecution team holding a press conference thanking the Floyd family for waiting, for being persistent, and for being here this entire year, going along with this and really just praying and supporting this prosecution team. They said that they're thankful for the witnesses, for the people who took out those phones and recorded and who then came to court and testified. They say that the work is not over. They will have to work on sentencing, and then they say they also will work on other cases because what they want here is a better relationship between the police and this community.
As you just said, this is just the first chapter. What do you know about the possible sentence in this case and the timeline on that as well?
So here's what happened. Here in the state, what happens is that these sentences run concurrently. And so what that means is that the highest sentence will likely be the 40 years. That goes with the second-degree murder. There's also 25 years for third-degree murder and then 10 years for the manslaughter. But because they run concurrently, you would have the maximum be 40 years. Now, the prosecution announced right away that what they were going to do is try to seek a higher sentence. Normally, this is something that's decided by a jury, but Derek Chauvin chose to waive those rights. So now the person in charge of the sentencing is going to be Judge Cahill. He will decide whether or not this sentence is essentially made a little bit longer or if it's kept at 40 years. We have to wait and see exactly what the judge will decide, and that's why the prosecution says they have a lot of preparing to do for that sentencing, which will come in the coming weeks.
As we all saw, there was a very large police presence there waiting for the verdict to be read. How long do you expect law enforcement officers will remain in the area?
Well, look, they're going to be here as long as it takes. We know that there are about 3,000 members of the National Guard. There is nowhere in downtown Minneapolis where you can go and not find a member of the National Guard or anyone with the Minneapolis Police Department or any other law enforcement agency in the state. They are all over. They are making sure that people are safe, that property is safe, but they're also here to make sure that people are able to protest. And many of the officials here say that you're able to go outside. They want people to protest protest. They want people to celebrate, but they did specifically say that they're hoping that things remain calm, that things remain legal and peaceful. That is the hope for the coming days, for tonight, and for whatever happens over the rest of the week. But we know that the security measures are going to be in place. The Minneapolis Police Department has been preparing for months, and so I think that they have a plan in place, and hopefully everything remains peaceful.
All right, Camila Bernal reporting live from Minneapolis. Thank you, Camila.